Welcome back to this live episode, this very special event here. This is Power On, of course, and we are joined right now by Lars Eric Holm from I&R.
Eden I&R.
Eden I&R. So
yeah. I&R stands for Information and Referral.
Okay, well, by the way, it's not Lars Eric, it's Lars Eric. Mm-hmm. All right, just want to give you a heads up, just in case people run into you. So, what exactly do you do?
So, what I do personally is I am the disaster preparedness coordinator for Eden I&R, which happens to be the 211 service provider for Alameda County. So, in Alameda County, when you dial 211 looking for help with anything that's not 911, so things like housing, healthcare, human resources, transportation needs, domestic violence. I'm looking for childcare for my special needs child. I'm a veteran and I can't navigate things. I'm a senior, I can't handle Medi-Cal. For all these things and more, you can dial 211.
So all the non-emergency issues that are going on?
All the non-emergencies, I like to think of them as.
Sure, because something's an emergency to somebody. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything's an emergency to somebody.
So it's not just people who have disabilities, it's anyone who's just in need of any kind of assistance or help.
Anyone and everyone, exactly. In fact, my little joke is that Bill Gates, if he needed help, he could call us for help. We're there for everyone.
Wow.
So
when did that start? When did that?
So Eden I&R has actually been in the business of linking people with resources for over 41 years.
Wow.
So when 211 became active in 2007, we were a logical choice to be the provider for Alameda County. Now, who you get when you dial 211 nationally depends on where you're at in the country.
I see.
So in Texas, for example, all of Texas is served by 211 Texas. Now, my daughter lives in Washington State, so she's in Seattle, so there's Kings County 211. The rest of the state's covered by Washington. My parents live in Hawaii, there's Aloha United Way 211.
That's amazing.
Because resources have to be local, right?
But of course.
Yeah, but we all stand together as well, and this kind of do as a segue into my role, because 211, besides being the number that you would call for help with anything at all, in fact, actually right now, I should just mention quickly, taxes. There are licensed tax professionals who, if you are in a certain low income bracket, you're entitled to have your tax preparation done for free.
That's
211 can direct you to that. But we're also the number that you would contact in a disaster. So the earthquake finally happens.
Okay, right.
Right? A tsunami happens.
Right.
The zombies finally start marching.
Yeah.
You shouldn't call 911, right?
No.
There was that earthquake? Because the 911 has to stay live for life and death emergencies. So what you do, though, is you have questions which you want answers. Things like, where do I find food? How do I treat my water so it's safe to drink? Should I go to a shelter or should I shelter in place and stay where I'm at? What's the transportation happening? Is BART running? Is AC Transit running? If I go to a shelter and I'm in a wheelchair, can they accommodate me? Will the shelter take my pets? How do I keep zombies from biting me? Things like that. You call 211, you'll have answers to those questions in an emergency.
I'm pretty sure that last question was the one most asked.
It's amazing how often that comes up, yes.
Something tells me about that.
Yeah, something tells me about that, yep.
So, you've been around for 211 has been around for 41 years.
211, no. Eden I&R has been around for 41 years.
Right, okay.
211 actually dated back, I think, like the late 1990s.
Okay.
And it came active in California in 2007.
So Eden I&R has been around for 41 years.
Yep.
So many things have changed in 41 years technologically.
Yep.
The world's gotten smaller.
Yep.
So how has Eden I&R adjusted to the technology? How has it made what you do easier?
That's a really good question. So first I'll start with the disaster side, since I was just talking about that. When Hurricane Harvey was happening, 211 Texas had such an influx of calls that we made arrangements and we took the spillover calls.
Here in the Bay Area?
Yep.
Wow.
So people dialing 211 Texas actually didn't know they were getting help from some folks here in Alameda County. And the reason that's possible is because so much stuff has become cloud-based.
I see, right.
So they actually had their resource database was available to us via the cloud. And we were able actually to help out. And that's an important concept for disasters because that allows us to stand things up. We can stand in for each other. To get a little closer to home, North Bay fires, they actually had to evacuate their call center up there for a little while. And one of the neighboring counties took over the calls for a short period.
But you guys are not responsible for contacting those agencies. You just give that information to the caller, right? In other words, you don't say, there are 3 shelters in my area. Do you mind calling?
That's a really good question. So actually, we do contact those agencies frequently.
On behalf of the caller?
Well, let's take that issue one.
Okay,
For issue 2, we're constantly contacting agencies at least once a year to make sure our information is the most accurate and up to date.
I see.
Constantly updating things. Also, as far as shelters go, we are the only agency in all of Alameda County that checks shelter bed availability twice a day.
Wow, to make sure there's enough beds.
Secondly, we do sometimes have cases where we will stay on the phone so that we can advocate in a situation on behalf of the caller.
Wow.
So every now and then, for example, we've had a 911, which should be a 911 call, but they're afraid because they think it's too governmental, and they trust us because we're not. We're a nonprofit.
That's incredible.
So sometimes we stay on the phone to advocate. Sometimes we're there to actually help the person feel safer.
So you're a nonprofit. Where do you get your funding?
Some from the county, some from all 14 of the cities, some from a large number of foundations and grants and philanthropists. I actually also do, as a side issue to 211 itself, I do disaster preparedness trainings.
Is that what you were here speaking on?
That's what I was speaking on today. I was actually speaking on a topic that we like to call safety kept in place.
Okay.
So have you heard about make a go kit or make a get out bag?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You have it in the closet or by the door, yeah.
Exactly. Very common thing. Now, for some populations, that's not really an option because that costs money, right?
Sure.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I'm trying to feed my family. You want me to buy supplies for an earthquake that might happen?
Yeah, you need all the resources now.
Yeah. So, but here's our motto. Transform your everyday brilliance into your disaster resilience.
Okay,
so take the smarts that you've got.
Okay.
So, this is a roll your own kit. You're looking at maybe $10 worth of stuff. Some of it is stuff that you already have, like a zip top bag, a Sharpie marker, a bag of tissues. And the training actually, I like to call it releasing your inner MacGyver. It's actually learning how to take things and actually leverage it into tools that you can use. Now, how would MacGyver use it? What would MacGyver do?
Yeah, he would take a paper clip and a rubber band, and he would make an airplane out of it somehow.
That's thinking I'm like MacGyver, right? So one of the games you start with, in fact, is how could you take the lowly zip top bag, and how would you MacGyver that? That's always our starter exercise. So one thing we consider is you take your handy-dandy, maybe you have a pocket flashlight. A lot of people have flashlights, right? It's not bad. It's got some light to it.
Right.
But if you do this, and trust me, in a darkened room, this is way impressive. It shines off the sides of the bag, and the effect you get is this glowing effect that makes you so much more visible.
Just by putting the light in the bag?
Yeah. So what I do is, the game we played up there was, how would you MacGyver the bag? How would you... Don't censor yourself.
Sure.
Be silly. Be crazy about it.
Think out of the box.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
With the bag?
Yeah.
See, I
First thing comes to mind.
I think I'd be in trouble.
No, first thing comes to your mind. Don't...
What kind of disaster is it?
Anything you like.
Is it water-based?
Make it water-based.
Well, I'd put my valuables and my cell phones in it.
That, in fact, is the most common answer from teenagers. Protect your cell phone.
You see that, Lars?
Well, no, you're a teenager. You're young and hard.
I am a teenager.
Right?
Yeah.
So, right? Any other thoughts?
To cover your hands.
Yeah.
Okay,
as
a glove.
Stuff. Yeah, as a glove, exactly, right?
What about if you had any food that you didn't want to get waterlogged?
That's exactly. It's what they're made for, right? Any other thoughts?
You could use. You wouldn't use it to cover your head. That doesn't make any sense. So was I right?
Yeah.
All right.
There's really no wrong answer to this. That's the thing. What we're trying to encourage people to do. So I'm pretending to tell people how to make a kit for themselves.
Yeah.
Really, what we're helping them realize is that the world is your preparedness kit.
Right.
Everything around you can be MacGyvered. Everything around you can be used.
Sure.
I can use those scissors. I can use those cords to make a rope to get our way out of things. A bag full of water is great for headaches. You know, if I'm hyperventilating, or I'm in a room full of smoke and I have to get out.
Oh, wow.
Right? Kids, by the way, are awesome at this.
Yeah, because they think maybe outside the box naturally. Yeah.
Outside the box and then some, right? It could be in a shelter-in-place situation, a tragically tiny transparent toilet. Probably should be its last use when you're done, right?
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah. Our favorite answer, we did a training for a group of kids, little boys being little boys. You could puke in it, things like that, right?
Of course, right.
But one little boy took his bag, and he folded it very carefully to keep with him at all times. Because he knew in a disaster, he was going to use his bag to rescue his goldfish.
Oh, see that?
That's how it got in. That's how
I love that. That's a great answer.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And like I said, it's just basically getting people to really think outside.
So where can people get more information about you and or Eden I&R?
EDENIR.org.
That's very
our
easy.
website, right? Or you can do an email to info@edenir.org. Or you can call 211. Say, I saw a fast-talking blonde guy with a really weird name, right? And I kind of want him to do something for my church, or for my congregation, or my temple, or my school, or my senior center. I've done preschool kids, I've done school kids, I've done middle schools, I've done senior centers. Could you put me in contact with a fast-talking blonde guy? And they'll know who you're talking about.
And you just come out and do the presentation, kind of like
the
what
Walter
you did
and Elise Hawes Fund is funding me to actually do these preparatory trainings for nonprofits and community-based organizations.
Oh, that's good. The more of you out there, the better.
Yes, sir.
For everyone.
Yes, sir.
Lars Eric
Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us
Thank
here
you very
on this
much.
live episode of Power On.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to be back with preview of episode 6. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to miss it. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. We'll be right back.